ahead, Dave. Woo. Real compared to what?
On Sunday, sleeping down. I'm trying to duck the wrath we got. The preacher fella must be right. They all gotta teach us what they know is right now. We really got to get some real love. Everybody now, make it real compared to what?
Yeah.
Try to
Wow. Man, that was great. God, that was great. That was really cool, man. You really, you know, you copped the groove, the whole thing. I mean, that from, but made it your own. That was just so good because that song and that arrangement and everything was just so iconic, from Les McCann,
Yeah, well, it's jazz.
That was great. Really
Yeah,
great version. Who are the
thank you so
musicians
much.
that were there?
What's that?
Who are the other musicians?
Joe Cartwright playing the piano. And Joe is someone I met when we were 19 when we met at a nightclub in Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
And we played together off and on ever since then. Joe Strauss is the bassist. I met him in the late 70s, and we played on and off again for many, many years. He lived in St. Croix for many years and then came back to Kansas City. So, Kansas City, I was in LA for almost 10 years and then came back here in 1998. And it's just like a welcoming place, at least for me. It's very welcoming. And the music scene is cool. And that place we were in is the Mutual Musicians Foundation at 1823 Highland in the Jazz District. And they started having jam sessions there in 1930. And they still have an overnight session every Friday and Saturday night.
Wow.
And, here it is. Here's the shirt from way back when and all that.
They still have an overnight session. I miss those days in LA.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I really do.
It was the Black Union Hall until 1972.
Uh-huh.
And I came here in 74, and I was called before the board of the Musicians Union. And 3 of the members of the board were from the Mutual Musicians Foundation, and 3 were from the white union in town. And I did something that was just stupid. I was a kid from the sticks, and one of the guys on the board, Arthur Jackson, he said, now, wait a minute. You're going to make this guy stop playing? No, wait a minute. No, we're not going to do that. Just charge him some money and let him get out there and play, And so they kind of saved me from this, from not being able to play for 6 months when I first got to town.
What did you do that was stupid?
I came into town and started playing, and I was a member of the Musicians Union, but not in this local. So I didn't go and sign up and take the 6 months off before I started playing. I came to town and I played immediately, immediately.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything really.
Not really. I just wanted to play, I was just a kid.
Yeah.
I still want to play.
Tony Jones says hi.
Oh, great. Hi, Tony Jones. Yeah, another great drummer. Yeah, good cat.
Drummer singer.
Great drummer singer. Yeah, singing drummer. Yeah.
Well, this is David Basse, ladies and gentlemen, and as you just heard, David lived here in LA. That's where when we met. You went there, and what did you say? You moved to Kansas City and when?
1974. Yeah.
Did we meet here? We had to meet here.
I went to Los Angeles in 1988 the first time as an adult. My family's from California. I was born in San Jose.
Okay.
And so, but I went there. I started doing voiceovers for commercials and stuff, and I landed an agent in Burbank for that.
Yeah.
And so I finally moved to LA in 92.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I was going to say, because I don't think I was even here in 74.
Yeah, no. I was in Kansas City all through the 70s and traveling and stuff, but this became my home, early on.
Yeah.
And,
so you were in LA for 10 years at that time?
88 to 98.
Okay.
When I was mostly going to Los Angeles and doing things.
Yeah.
and playing there. And then I finally got the nerve to cut ties here and be in LA for about 5 or 6 years. And then, you know, I started asking people at cocktail parties just out of the blue. So, hi, how you doing, Cathy? How's that screenplay going? And I'd get these answers like, yeah, it's like Superman and Batman. You know, I'm a waiter now, but you know, I'm going to be doing this and this, and my screenplay is going to be everything. And I was just like, you know, I can just be in Kansas City and just do and play every night and do all my stuff. So when I came back here, I started radio. I got into radio almost immediately, and I don't know, just fell into that. And so I've done a lot of radio in the past, 20 years.
Did you create? How does one fall into radio? Do you get hired to be a DJ? Do you go to DJ school? Do you create a show and sell it?
I tried that in about 88. There's a DJ and a historian here in town named Chuck Haddix. And Chuck has written a couple of jazz books these days and all this stuff. And he's the Mars Sound Archives was an idea of his. And so it's a large sound archive, sort of like Rutgers University archive. And so he was like in the 80s, he said, oh, we should do this. We should go to a studio and you should be the DJ and we should make a radio show, because he was on radio. And I tried it. It was terrible. It was just awful. But when I came back here, I had been doing a lot of voiceover stuff. So I went to this station, KKFI. It's our community station. And I said, I'd like to be like the voice of KKFI, like the guy who comes on at the top of the hour and says, it's 12 o'clock and time to blah, blah, blah. But they said, well, that'd be great, but we can't do that. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a jazz show on Thursdays and you can start like next Thursday. How about that? And I was like, okay. So I started a jazz show on KKFI then. And then there was a person named Dick Wright. Dick Wright was a professor of jazz at KU, University of Kansas. And when he passed, Frank Mantooth and Kim Park and I played his memorial. And then I was at the station, Kansas Public Radio, or KPR, or KANU. And the DJ, Bob McWilliams, said, you should be on the radio here. You should take over Dick's show on Saturday afternoons. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm not a historian. No. He said, no, you should really do it. And so that was June of 2001. And
so did you give up your other show?
Yeah, I did both of them for a while.
Yeah.
And then I got confused that I would give the wrong call letters. It was like, I can't do two at once. It was too weird at that point. And then we started the show 12th Street Jump. And that one was in 2009, November of 2009. And that was at the place where you just saw the video. So that was like, we were about to do 12th Street Jump, and we just played that song and recorded it and that kind of thing, kind of hanging out, sitting in. Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna be playing that video like every day.
Oh, good.
So like good. When I was in college, I was at Berkeley, and I was 19 or something, and that was when I first heard that, and I played the crap out of that Les McCann record. That's what was it called? Second something.
It was called. Live from Montreux. Yeah.
Yeah. Second movement. Yeah. Oh, and of course Eddie Harris was the sax player on it. That just got into my bones. I mean, and like when you guys played it, boy, I have to say, Joe really got it. I mean, I haven't heard anybody do that.
Swiss movement is the name of the
Swiss movement, right? Not second movement. Swiss movement.
Joe, when we met in '74, that was one of the albums that he turned me on to. So we would play. We had a gig right from the beginning. We had a 6-night-a-week gig 5.5 hours a night, 6 nights a week. We moved 2 blocks from the club. So after we get off of work, we'd sit around, play records, and hang out, And so in '77, there were these. They used to have Sunday concerts here in Kansas City,
Yeah.
Sunday in the park, and Les played one of those concerts. And my wife Lisa at the time and we were so poor, we took the bus to the concert every Sunday so we could see the concert. So to get a bus on Sunday, we had to be there by like 3 p.m. for a 7 o'clock show. So we got to this park. We're outside. And we had our lunch. We had some wine. We had this and that. And Les came in, got up on the stage, did a sound check. And when he got done with his sound check, he walked off the stage and he came out and he said, "What y'all doing sitting out here?" I was like, "We're having lunch." He goes, "That looks good. You mind if I sit down?" And we just started yakking, And then I've known him ever since. I mean, every time he'd come here, every time I go to LA, he'd come to my shows in LA when I played there, when I lived there, and stuff. And we just became fast friends. And, so, Carbide and I are way deep into Les McCann, and that music, and Eddie Harris, Joe's one of his favorite records is, How Can You Live Like That? The Eddie Harris, just.
Yeah, I've heard even from sax players. I think, Eddie Harris was revered, but I don't think he got his real due. I think so many people were talking about Charlie Parker and, coming up like the sax players. I didn't feel like Eddie Harris was talked about enough, but sax players really hold him in high esteem.
Well, he also sang, and he also invented musical instruments.
Oh,
so he invented the guitargan, and he had a trumpet. Like he would put a reed mouthpiece on a trumpet and play the trumpet.
huh.
And because of things like that, I don't think a lot of people took him seriously. He was experimenting with electronics in the '70s and doing all kind of weird things with the sound and stuff. And some purists won't take that seriously, but he also just played it. It's fantastic,
Yeah, I don't think I ever heard him sing.
Oh yeah, How Can You Live Like That? That's one of the.
Oh,
that's
maybe we have to go hear that somewhere.
Yeah. So all through my life, I've had these connections, and like with Les, there was a nightclub in Seattle that had to have Les McCann and Eddie Harris play, and they hadn't talked for years at this point.
Oh,
So I had a friend in Seattle, and Les said, "Fly out and come and hear Eddie and I play." And so I did, and it was like Les would say to the bass player, "Hey, ask Eddie what he wants to play." And he'd ask it, it's like they wouldn't talk to one another.
yeah.
They talked through the bass player. And then when I went to play at Scullers in Boston, he said, "You need to meet Eugene McDaniels." And so, who wrote Compared to What.
Yes.
And so I got a hold of Eugene McDaniels, and he came to our show, and I got to meet his son and hang out with him, it's just fantastic stuff.
Wow. Yeah. Right. Do you recognize this song? Let's see. Bye, bye, oh, bye. Bye, bye, oh, bye, 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 da, da, da. Do you recognize that?
Is that a Eugene McDaniels tune?
Well, that was from the same record. It's called Samia.
Uh-huh.
And I had written lyrics when I was in college because it was a real pretty song from that same record. I think it was Les who wrote it. Let's see. Oh, I can't remember now, but it was real pretty.
Yeah,
I remember. I just thought you might recognize that because that record was so much. Do you think we can find Eddie singing somewhere
on YouTube? Yeah. I imagine you can. Put in "How Can You Live Like That" and see if what happens. See if you get that.
Okay.
Thank you for having me, by the way. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, David and I were like emailing back and forth. We were like, I'm so excited to talk to you because it's been so long.
And you sent me all those beautiful albums, 15 albums in a box. That was like so cool.
Oh, I apologize for my zealous.
No, I mean, I still live. How could I'm still like that? Yeah. Let's see if it comes up. I'm still playing them. I'm still going through them. The one with Josh Nelson that you do, and that's fantastic.
That was Josh Nelson and Larry Kuntz.
Larry Kuntz, yeah.
That's
There's a Scarlatti piece.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I played that one the most of any of them. See, look, there you go. You got Eddie Harris right there.
Did you know that the reason I did that was because my piano tuner always plays that song after he tunes my piano. And it was so beautiful. And it was in my key, which is weird, alto key. And finally I got it from him. And that project was perfect to do that,
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful project, and you've got so many great records, Cathy. Just beautiful stuff.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to listen to a little bit of it, and I'm not sure that, what is that? Look at that. Yeah. Apparently it's, covered by John Mayall. Interesting. I'm going to look some more, and I need some money. Get on down. Then I do kind of remember that.
I don't think there's anything that's not going to work.
Okay, well, I wonder if anybody will get annoyed at me for playing this. You know what I mean? The big guy.
It's not that easy.
Let's see.
Grammarly.
We won't do that, but let's play a little of this and see.
Not the place for me. People are crammed together, living in misery. If you walk 3 blocks at night, you'll be scared as you can be. There's a guard watching with a gun as you buy your grocery. How can you live like that? How can you live like that? The store's all closed long before it gets dark. Ladies are afraid to walk alone through the park. You're afraid to go to sleep when your neighbor's dog let out a bark. Muggers are standing on street corners, happy as a lark. How can you live like that?
Cool.
Come on, tell me, folks. How can you live like that? You tried to park in front on a lighted street just to buy some food to carry out to eat. If you ride the public transportation, you take a front seat. When you hear the ambulance and the police siren, you know your night's complete. How can you live like that? How can you live like that?
Well, you know,
People have bars on their windows.
I have to say that I mean, that's cool, and he's cool, and the band is to die for, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, man, I mean, everybody's playing really great. Also, my friend, let's see what this is. There's That's Why You're Overweight.
Eddie Harris made a bunch of records, all different kinds of records, in the disco era. He made these crazy dance records.
It sounds a little similar, except now he's
great
using
piece of art, very 70s.
Oh, that's my husband's favorite candy.
Oh yeah.
Man, really cool groove, lots of space, really great playing, man. Right in the pocket.
Yeah, this bass player is on a lot of his records. I don't know his name, but does those things.
Real long intro.
Yeah. It's a long song. It needs a long intro.
Probably talking about the food.
That could be the guitar.
Oh.
Could be the bass. Just, it's what he did. It's really beautiful stuff. Very inventive.
I'm sure you're right.
That could be it. Could be the whole song.
Oh, here he goes.
Lord have mercy. I had 3 donuts and 2 cups of coffee, but that didn't stop my appetite. I had only eaten a box of cookies very late last night. I had 10 pancakes, plenty of syrup and butter, and 2 slices of ham, 3 eggs, home fries, 4 biscuits, all smothered in jam. 2 glasses of milk and a cheesecake. I thought I didn't want any more. I just had to buy 12 of those mints in that bowl by the door.
Oh, I remember this one. Yeah.
I wish I had some brains and grits.
Right. I remember that because I remember those singers,
Right.
That is why.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh man. Oh, by the way, Bradley Young is here.
Oh, great.
He said,
Hi, Bradley
"Wow,
Young.
long time, brother. We used to do quite a lot of gigs back in the mid-90s."
Yeah, we hung around in Los Angeles and lived close together and played gigs and all that. It was good. It's good. Yeah, it's like back to some of the stuff that Eddie Harris was doing. It's like Rusty Draper was in the 30s. Rusty Draper would have like a ladder.
Wait,
He'd
I'm
come out
sorry,
and do,
Rusty Draper. That name sounds so familiar, but what is it? Who was
Rusty
he?
Draper was like, in the same ilk as Louis Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Open the Door, Richard. Louis Jordan's hit
Yeah.
was a Rusty Draper song.
Oh,
And he did it from a step ladder. So he'd come out on the stage with a big step ladder and he'd get up on the step ladder pretending he was drunk. And he's trying to get the guy to open the door because he can't get in. and they owe rent, so he can't really knock on the door. He has to come in the window because,
Oh.
you know, and
Right.
the landlord says, you know, you didn't pay back rent, and he says, I can't even pay front rent. How can I pay back rent? You know, it's a great routine. It was like an Apollo Theater routine from the 40s, the 30s, 40s.
That's
Interesting.
great. Um,
So, yeah.
so, and have you, when you grew up, were you making music? Were you singing? Were you playing drums? How did that all come together?
I grew up on a farm in Nebraska.
Oh,
So I was born in San Jose, as I said. When I was 4, my sister, my sister got married when I was 3. So she's 15 years older than me. And so when after she got married and my brother and I were still at home, we moved to Nebraska where my parents were from, and we lived on this farm. And I had a little transistor radio, smaller than a cell phone transistor radio, a red one. And I would listen to this station in Little Rock, Arkansas called KANY. And I'd listen to WLS in Chicago. And so I would hear the music, you know, this is like 1966, 65, 66 in there, 67. And I heard the song Mellow Yellow. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to play the drums, you know. So when I was 11, my brother went to Nam when I was 9. So I was by myself there, you know, then after that. And so I told my mom I wanted drum lessons. And she's, you know, your brother had an accordion and we still have that stupid organ. And, you know, it's like they had you know, like a chord organ with the buttons and stuff. And she said, we're not going to buy you anything, but we'll get you a drum lesson. So I went and I got a drum lesson, and I got in the, you know, came out and got in the car and the practice pad and the sticks. And my mom said, so how was it? Do you like it? And I said, this will be my career. This is what I'm going to do. So I was 11 then. And when I was 14, I became a professional musician because I snuck out. My parents went back to California for a vacation and left me home. And this band called and said, can you come and play? This guy called and said, would you go play at the bowling alley with this band all week at the Sahara Lounge? And I was like, let me ask my parents. They said, it's okay, you know. So they were gone. And but they would have to come and pick me up because I don't have a car, you know. And so they came and picked me up. I played a 6-night gig, and I made $150 cash, 25 a night. And then I kept saying all week, when my dad gets back, you're going to need to come by the house and meet him. And so then I told my dad about the $150 and that I had played this gig while they were in the living room with us, which was good. But they hired me in the band. So I played in that band till I left town.
oh wow.
And then I went on the road for 2 years, and then I was like here in Kansas City, you know, and fell into this stream of stuff.
Were you always singing too?
I didn't start singing until I left the little town of Norfolk, Nebraska, where I was from.
Yeah.
And just the peer pressure of all that, you know, I didn't want to sing. I wanted to play the drums. And I felt I was overweight at the time. So I liked being back behind the drums. I didn't want to be up front with the guitarists and so on. I wanted to be on the drums, and I loved the drums. And then when I got in this band on the road, the guy said, do you sing? And I said, no, I don't. He said, too bad. I could give you more money. And so he said, start singing from the drums, but don't use a mic, you know, just sing from the drums. And eventually I had some songs down, and somebody needed going to Kansas City. And so I sang it, and, you know, it kind of became like, that song kind of became like a, you know, my destiny, you know, coming here, Kansas City, you know. So, yeah.
The Kansas City, I haven't actually been to Kansas City. So Kansas City there's 2 parts to it, right? Over in 2 different states, but one is really the jazz area. Is that correct?
One is in Missouri, one is in Kansas. Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. And so Yeah, the town's split by just in some parts of the town, there's a
Yeah.
state line road. So
Uh-huh.
if you walk across the street, you're in a different state. And it it does weird things to the local government and the the funds that can be gotten
Hmm.
by the city and the population and so on. You don't get all the benefits of having a city with all that population in one state. Uh, but let's see, like Charlie Parker was born in Kansas City, Kansas, but mostly lived in Kansas City, Missouri. His parents moved across, or his mom moved him to Westport, the Westport area, Kansas City. It's a fascinating history. Ben Webster, the same thing. He was moved to town by his mother when he was 9, and Bird moved over from KCK when he was, I don't know what age, but he went to high school in Kansas City, Missouri, and so the Reno Club, uh, all the 18th and Vine, 12th Street and Vine, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. There's a long history here. It's over a 100-year history from 1906 and Uday Bowman and the 12th Street Rag and all this wonderful history. And there's a great scene here. It's a fantastic scene. Bobby Watson, of course, the past 20 years, Bobby Watson, he's just retired, but he was at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. And each year, 2 big bands full of musicians and then hitting the streets after they graduate. And there's just a lot of young musicians really happening.
Yeah, there's a sax player. I'm trying to think. It's he plays. Let me just see. Leonard. He plays with
Matt Otto
Leonard.
came from LA and came
Matt
here.
Otto. That's
Yeah.
exactly who I was thinking of.
David,
Yeah, I love.
David Carlos Valdez. He's from Santa Cruz. He's here now.
Hmm.
And what's happening now is musicians are moving here as like it's until the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, and we all just were sidelined for a while. This isn't going to last forever, but yeah.
Oh gosh, as we were talking about before we got on, time is not a line. It's not linear. It's kind of, especially now, it feels very
Circular time.
circular. You're like, haven't I been here before?
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah, yesterday I woke up this morning. I wonder if it's like, I guess I kind of been thinking about time, or, because I think after I went down from 6 days a week to 3 days a week for this show, it
Yeah.
changed what I was doing, and because now I had this long whole day instead of part of the day. And, and so, and I'm a Gemini, I get bored really easily. And
Right.
I've been doing a lot of stuff, but, cleanup stuff and stuff that I've been really wanting to get to, as most people. But last night I was like so bored. I was like, oh my God, I'm bored. And it's not like I have nothing to do. I can change and do a lot of different things. But this morning I woke up and I kind of felt like, Groundhog Day. I was like, okay, I'm awake again. I'm going to go out there and do my exercises,
Right.
But I'm really thankful too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful day. And I was telling you that I had listened to Alan Alda's podcast, Clear and Vivid, with this guy who was talking about global warming. And I listened to it yesterday. So I think it had affected me all day, because it's, it's just the same kind of information as we're looking at, with COVID, and well, thank God the politics kind of, relaxed. But a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is so
Right.
circular. It's like repetitive or surreal, or it has this surreal quality, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I started about April, I started to realize that, I was forgetting what day it was,
Yeah.
because since I started doing the syndicated radio show, I've been working every day, somewhat on radio. And the first thing I like to do in the morning is come in here and voice the shows. So like I said earlier, I take the playlist. I make the playlist at night, right before I go to bed. And then when I wake up in the morning, I come in here. I do a little bit of stuff and get some coffee and that. And then when I come in to do this, I do, that's the first thing I do is I voice shows. So I voiced a couple this morning. This is kind of my day off. But what I was getting to is that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, today, November the 10th, 2020, it's a Tuesday. So that I remember what day it is, what day of week it is. Because now, since the pandemic started, I've gone up to over 50 stations now. So
Wow.
For a while there, I was adding a station or a group of stations every week. And then I felt that, wow, somebody's actually listening. People are starting to actually listen to what I do, And so I want to be on my game, when I make the shows. I just interviewed Jeff Hamilton last Thursday and then added that into my programming last night. And then today he's playing the show that you did with Tamir Hindelman, Tamir's house. And so I'm doing my best to get in the moment. But then that comes back to another thing you said about circular time or linear time. Of course, we're all in linear time, and you're going to get old and you're going to die like everybody does. But there's this circular time, and there's certain things that keep coming around. Like in my life, it's been Les McCann. A couple of years, and it's like, hey, it's Les McCann, and it's back. And Joe Cartwright playing the piano, it just keeps coming back because there's a connect, there's a connect between us. Yeah. And I think with you, it's the city of Los Angeles. And with me, it's the city of Kansas City. You're known as an entity or a person who, revolves around the scene in LA.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Miss or Mr. Arnold. Rev Jude. Oh, it's a woman because I see her picture. Beautiful name, Rev Jude, something like that. She wants to hear more of you singing.
Okay.
So we're gonna go look again to find you
a video.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
You want to do a video?
You could look for.
Writing's
there's
not
one
that
that's
easy.
okay.
I'll show you what we have, and then you can maybe direct me.
That second one, Easy the Hard Way, is good.
Okay.
That's okay. And there's one with Joe right below that, but this is a good one right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a talent for making the easy hard, for taking the long way, not playing it smart. It's not that I haven't tried to follow all the rules,
Mark Winkler song.
but my mind kind of wanders from suffering fools. If the odds are against me, I'll jump in and play. Double or nothing, easy the hard way. Like a bull lost in a china shop. Call me hot-headed, man, I don't know when to stop. Burn me some bridges on the road to who knows where. A bad reputation, man, I couldn't care. When life is over, I know what they'll say. 'Twas a weakness for living easy the hard way.
Basie did it.
Come on. Oh, I had a lover my friends would not touch. They said she was evil. I loved her too much. When I was making it big, she treated me oh so small. Then the money dried up. I couldn't find her at all. She ran off with a salesman. He knew what to say. Should have known that the girl was easy, easy the hard way. So damn hard, easy. Everybody, so damn hard now, easy, easy to be, easy to be hard. Woo. Yeah, yeah, woo. Yeah, yeah, woo. Little, little, easy.
That's cool. That was a nice ending of turning off the lights. Hey, that's cool. Now, you know what's interesting to me? And this is something I've noticed before. It's interesting that every time we talk about Mark Winkler's songs, we say they're Mark Winkler songs, and we don't say they're the musical composer's songs. I've noticed that before over the years. It's really interesting, you know. And so, who wrote the music to that song?
I have no idea.
See, isn't that interesting?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he's written with a lot of great instrumentalists.
He's written with a lot of them. Yes,
Yeah.
he has.
Yeah,
He's making a record with David Basse today.
cool.
One of the things he's been doing. Yeah.
That's old friends.
Old friends. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My.
Sorry.
My. You okay?
Yes, I have a chronic cough. Certain days I get really like, oh God, I'm so over this. Today I feel like that because I've been coughing a lot, but yeah, I've had it for 20 years.
You have such a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I take these vocal zone lozenges from England, and I stock up on them because they don't cure my cough, but they stop my cough from happening. So, you know,
This is like a little commercial.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe I should get them to sponsor my show.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that was really cool. I dug the way you were singing that. It was really swinging.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a swinging band, and it's, you know, I do 3, 4, 5 Winkler tunes, and there's a lady who wrote me letters for many, many years on the air, wrote letters. And then we had this really interesting relationship, like a pen pal almost. And she would sign her letters, "Stay Hip." And Winkler said, "Oh, send me one of those letters." When she passed away, Winkler said, "Hey, send me a letter or two if you can." And then he wrote a song called "Stay Hip" and recorded it with Jeff and John Clayton. And it's a cool song, and I've written some stuff. It's on Deep Into Jazz. There's a piece I wrote about Nan Hill, who's a.
I think I read that because this sounds very familiar. She had was your kind of pen pal for a long, long time, right?
7 years, yeah. Like
she started
almost every
on,
week. I did a weekly Saturday show on KPR I still do it. It's Monday nights, but I still do that weekly show.
Yeah.
And she would just tell me stuff, like it got to where I was playing the song she wanted to hear. I'd program the song she wanted to hear, and I'd sit down to do my show, and I'd get a letter that says, open the letter, and it would be like, "Hey, play a song by this guy or that guy or this guy." So, and so we had these real intense conversations about various artists and what a DJ does and how the music should be presented, and what, about jazz. Like one of the things she'd say is like, if you play a song that uses the guitar as the chordal instrument, the next one has to be a piano, because jazz is about the piano. And so you could play one, but if you play two with guitars, then it better be really, really different the second time. So you could play Joe Pass and then play Pat Metheny, or you could play John McLaughlin and then you could play, somebody who doesn't play like John McLaughlin, which is just about anybody. But anyway, so she had these things that were always, that she would say, "Oh, you did this and that. You should do that again," So I have all these letters, and I don't know, they're all in an archive at the university, like a lot of things, because I have trouble keeping things. Kathy, I like looking ahead and being in the present and looking forward, and the past. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel the same way. In fact, I tell students that all the time.
Yeah.
The past is just, is right now. There's the past, you have to be in the moment and the future moment.
Right.
Yeah.
How many students do you have?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, it's really changed on and off. Right now, I have, kind of steady. I have 4 students, and there's 5 students. They're there's a few who do it online. I have 1 in Japan, and then there's 2 who actually come here, even through the pandemic. They've come, and actually 3. But the third one has gone to Hawaii for a little bit. I think I saw her on this feed, actually. Hi, Betty, wow. If you're here. So yeah, but I mean that, such a long period of time that I've been teaching. It had to be, let's see, what year? 80. Is that right? No. Met him in 79, something like, I don't know, 30 years or something, 30, 35 years. Anyway, but time has changed. The way that time has changed has really changed the student thing too, because in the beginning, for many years, and I had all those workshops, right? I did like 10 workshops a month, not just really featuring me, but featuring, like, if you were in town, I'd have you as the clinician, So I did a lot of them. And that I use that to deliver information to the students, and also as kind of a advertisement too. And in those days, I had a lot of students. Like a good crowd was about 20 people, and a lot of those people came to all the workshops
Right.
because they were fascinated, which I think is the right thing, because when you can see, it's like being in school, when you can see all these different teachers teaching basically the same like they all agree, like you and I will agree on particular things about singing and playing jazz, but we may present them differently, right? Because we're
Sure.
different people,
Right.
but we all agree on the same stuff, and that's part of the fascinating things I think came out of all those workshops. Also, when you're a student from workshop to workshop and seeing all these different people get up, you saw that, oh, Joe has that problem. I don't have that problem, but that's really interesting. But oh, Sue, yeah, I have that problem, and but she handles it in a different way. So you really learn a lot.
Uh-huh.
Then over the years, as the internet began really coming in more and more, um, my student and also my student load became less, because I think that there were so many available teachers coming out, you know, and
Right.
also I got more into teaching like at universities and stuff, and less into just a private practice. So, but I'm content about my teaching, and also I do like to, like, for instance, travel to Japan and teach there. I love teaching the Japanese students, and it's just very rewarding and very. It's great to acknowledge them, because especially the women, as you know, like the Japanese culture kind of is a little more suppressive to women, right, than men. And so that, of course, spills out into the jazz world. And you can have a great jazz singer show up, and if I say to them, that was really good, they just fall apart. They cry, even though they're doing great,
Yeah.
because there's so much history in, that's worked their way into their personality.
Mhm.
So it's really rewarding, and it's a good action to help them find who they are, what they can do. They're all, very musical because of karaoke and stuff. And so it's jazz, I think, is a real natural thing for them to get into, and there's a lot of art there. And the karaoke has really, I think, made a big difference, because everybody and his brother does karaoke.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how I got all on that, but
And
oh,
you get to go
students.
to Japan and hang out, which would be that's something
Yeah.
I've not done that I'd love to do, is go to Japan and hang out and
Oh, you would have so
play and
much
so on.
fun. You
Yeah.
must go. It's a very unique planet.
I
Yeah.
think that, like, the time we're in now, it's going to usher in a change, big change. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if we usher in a era of civility, whereas we've had no civility or very little civility for quite a while now. And with this time where we all have to be sequestered, or we can choose to be sequestered, many of us, I I barely go out of my house except for special occasions and groceries, and so on like that. And so I've really gotten to know myself, parts that I like and parts I don't like, and it's very interesting to have that. And I think that brings along then a change, because when you get back out in public and, like, maybe start playing again or that sort of thing, it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same, and I'm not sure what that's going to be.
Yeah. I have played a little bit out.
I've
And
done a few things. Yeah.
yeah, I
Like you
even
did the
have a
thing with
jam.
Tamir. That was one.
Yes, I did a also similar kind of thing at the world stage for against racism, and then I had several gigs at this place that, believe it or not, I'm having a jam session,
Really?
and yeah, it's outdoors on a patio. The next one is the last Sunday of November,
So you do
and
it once a month?
yeah, well, that's what I'm shooting for right now.
Uh-huh.
It's really nice. People enjoyed it so much. It was outdoors on a patio, social distancing, good food, the music was good, and I mean people were just the vibe was really, really nice.
Uh-huh.
So we're doing it again the last Sunday of the month. And
Yeah.
the first time I did the gig, it wasn't a jam session, it was just a gig. And it took me at least a set and a half to work through the cobwebs and go, oh yeah, man, this feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do miss that, because I don't know about you on piano or anything, but I don't play that great. I mean, I play okay and I can get through a song in time and I can transpose and all that kind of stuff, but I can't, not a great player.
Right.
Do you play piano?
I'm terrible, but I like playing it. Well,
that's good.
I like whacking around on it and stuff. If I played more, I could get better. But
that's what I told myself this morning.
What's that?
I told myself that this morning.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's the dedication.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting.
I don't know if you spend much time learning songs nowadays. I don't. I mean, I kind of go in and out of the desire, but the last few days I've been working on Louisa, the Jobim song.
Uh-huh.
I'm in love with that song.
I've been learning. No, I've been singing just, I don't know, spiritual songs and different things like that. Stuff that I sing around the house, or just singing whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah.
But playing on the piano, simple songs that just interesting little songs, And I hear a lot of music because I do the radio thing, but that's really become strongly my focus, is playing, doing radio, making radio, because I do so much, 18 hours a week of radio.
Wow.
And I'm just I'm like a radio athlete in a way. I'm training to go faster and do better and find new ways to make it easier for myself, and to do more with it.
What kind of actions does that?
What kind of actions?
What kind of actions does that take?
Well, the interview that I did with Jeff Hamilton was Thursday. And so I did it on Zoom. So now I have the audio of the Zoom and so on like that. And then I turned that into 3 hours of radio last night for Kansas Public Radio for 8 stations in this area. And, but I cut it up so it's mostly music. I prefer mostly music in small amounts. I don't do a long form interview. If I do, I cut it up into little pieces and then put it in with music. So for that show, I did maybe, I don't know, eight segments throughout a 3 hour period, something like that, 6 to 8. And then this morning I started making radio for syndication for the other stations. And I cut it up even more to just like, 30 seconds of Jeff talking about how the trio works and how he leads the trio in a way to keep it always fun and stuff. I mean, he really drives himself as a performer. He said he was practicing 5 to 6 hours a day, through the pandemic.
Oh,
he's
wow.
ready. He's like a boxer. I'm going to go out and, rule the world on the drums. Okay, good idea. But not everybody does it that way. I mean, in jazz, it like some people just open their mouth and it sounds great.
I know.
My friend Deborah Brown, for one. Deborah Brown is amazing to me. She'll say, "Oh, I don't know if I can't. No, well, I'll try it." And then she'll walk up on the stage and be amazing. And then she's like, "Oh, I just couldn't. It wasn't that good." but she was amazing. And that's some people just have that sound and have that deal that they can do.
Yeah.
And then other people sort of wrestle with it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people practice all the time. And, I worked a long time with Eldar Zhangirov, the young pianist. And Eldar, it was Al Gray. Al Gray met him, and Eldar was like 11. And he says, "Oh, young man, how often do you practice?" He says, "Maybe 6 hours a day." He says, "Well, why don't you practice 4 and read the New York Times 2?" Oh, okay. It seemed like good advice to me, to be, because you need substance to put in your music. As a singer, you need substance. If you haven't ever been in love, you can't sing love songs. If you haven't ever been stepped on in love, it's hard to sing, a song that's really a tragic song about love. And it's that personal experience that people feel in the song, in my mind. I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I like the way that Les sings, and I like the way that Eddie Harris sings, and I love singing the blues, and I love that that personal experience of the whole thing, and I love calling that up in the music. And then now later in life, it's like, oh, I want to sing spirituals, I want to sing praises to God, and that kind of thing. So just life. It's life going on. Life in a circle, it just keeps coming back to the beginner's mind in that way. It's like, okay, I'm starting again today. Today I start again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I heard that in that last thing that we played from you. I mean, that's what I love to hear. I mean, I love to hear great musicianship in a singer, but I also really love to hear the person's opinion in the song. I guess it's called opinion. I mean, it's an emotional opinion, but I in other words, I just like to hear the singer really say how they feel.
Yeah.
And that to me is, I think, the challenge of being a great singer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's true with all instruments, don't you? That too, that the more the instrumentalist is connected to that, the better, but never so obvious as with a singer.
Yeah, the great instrumentalists are the same way. They want, like Lester Young always wanted the lyrics on the music stand in the recording session, so he could see the lyric while he's playing what he played. Ben Webster, almost like a vocalist, and Ben Webster's playing, the beauty of his playing. Saxophone, very much like the human voice. And when I worked with Mike Melvoin, the pianist, Mike was always like, he had songs. There's one song that I sang with him that for 8 years he wouldn't let me sing it in public, for 8 years. And then one day we were going to play at the Blue Note in New York. We were, and I said, Mike, could I sing "You Won't Hear Me Say Goodbye"? He goes, "Well, let's run it one time and see if you're ready." And we practiced it for 8 years. I mean, not every day, but we practiced it, and it just took that experience in life, to sing that lyric. Once I was young, wild and on fire, eager and bold, consumed with desire. I mean, it takes a little time. I mean, you can't, I'm a 4-year-old white blues singer You don't see many 4-year-old white blues singers, but maybe when they're 40, they kind of get it, maybe, it just depends, it's just different things in life. I'm fascinated with jazz. I'm fascinated with music. I'm fascinated with how a number of musicians do a number of things, how everybody does it differently, and how in jazz we don't really say it's not that it doesn't have validity. We say, oh, that's nice. Like if when I hung out with Melvoin, I mean, he's passed and all, but he would hear somebody play that wasn't quite up to par. He'd say, I like what you're trying to do up there. I like what you're trying to do, And that phrase a lot of times would stick with somebody. And a couple of months later, somebody would come up and say, hey, Mike, I'm not trying this anymore. I'm actually doing this. Oh, really? Okay, good. I want to hear that, And it took it in a new direction,
Yeah. Let's see. Again, that beautiful woman who apparently is a fan of yours, because she said, my favorite of David's is Call Me Baby. And could you please play the song you won a Grammy for?
Oh, I didn't win a Grammy.
You didn't?
I did not. No,
he did not. Miss Arnold.
My record company,
yes,
City Light, helped Mike get a nomination for a solo that he did on a song, on an album, So, as you know, winning a Grammy is quite a feat. Having a Grammy nomination is quite a feat. And so Mike, being the president of the Grammys in the 80s, I mean, he didn't have a Grammy. He didn't get a Grammy, but he always wanted to have a Grammy or be recognized as a jazz player because he played so many pop songs, all through his life. Good Vibrations and Pet Sounds with the Beach Boys and all that stuff he did. That slide, the organ on that slide.
I actually didn't know he did that. I just knew him as a jazz player.
Like he made tons of pop records. Huh. I made tons of pop records. And he was one of the first people to play the theremin on record, So he did theremin stuff. And, weird, like there's a retro cocktail hour here on this station and on Kansas Public Radio. And like the guy, Daryl Brogdon, was like, oh, I'm really familiar with Mike Melvoin because all these, like one of his records was the electronic cow goes moog. And it was a Moog, one of the first Moog records back in the 60s and stuff. But anyway, that's crazy.
That's funny. Well, do you know the song that she's speaking of?
The song, I can think. It's been a long time, and I don't have it in this massive collection here, do I?
By the way, yes. Where will people be able to find the interview with Jeff Hamilton?
That's interesting too, isn't it? Probably on, you'll be able to see it on or hear it on Deep Into Jazz, deepintojazz.com, deepintojazz.com. And you can always get a hold of me through my website, David, BASSE.com. And on my website, there's a Ask Dave, and you can ask me questions like this and that. But you won't hear me say goodbye. No, let's see. It's Always You is the album for Mike Melvoin that was nominated. All or Nothing at All is the song that was nominated. It was his piano solo in the song All or Nothing at All that was nominated in 2004 for a Grammy for Mike.
And you that was the one you sang?
No, I did. It's an instrumental tune with Phil Woods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she was speaking of a different song also. What she said her favorite was Call Me Baby.
Let's see. I don't know if that can be found. Let's see. Baby All the Time. Okay, my version of that would be on Bandcamp, so go to my website
Okay.
DavidBasse.com. You can play
Not
without
here though,
videos.
right?
Not on YouTube.
Easily
no.
monitor your home, all from one
Okay.
intuitive touchscreen interface,
Let me get
allowing you.
up. I didn't want to do that. Okay.
Don't do that. Yeah.
So I'll go to Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
And
just my site is easy to get to it, but David Basse there probably.
hey, Cathy Segal-Garcia merch.
Yeah, look at that.
David Basse.
I want a black T-shirt.
I am actually coming up with a logo for this program, or maybe a few. I can't quite decide on one.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Old Friends New Point was the album that would be on.
Let's see. Now this is you, right? So, but this
That's
is
me.
Okay.
But it's not on there. Now it's not up right now.
Oh, okay.
It's just not up right now. That song is not right. I apologize for that. I did it with vocalist Angela Hagenbach. We did it on Baby All the Time on that particular song, and Bobby Watson's on it too. But we'll get it up there soon. And if you want to just, like I said, just contact me through my website, davidbasse.com, and we can go.
I'm just wondering what else. It's nice to. I mean, we can of course listen.
There's one with Mike right there, 52nd and Broadway. That's one of Melvin's tunes.
Oh, okay.
With Bob Bowman.
Oh, Bob Bowman. Hi,
Bob Bowman, yeah.
And Bob lives near you, right?
No, he lives in Montana now.
Oh.
He moved, but he still comes around, plays.
And there's a great bass player, Bob Bowman.
Yeah, isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
He's awesome.
So this
is when Mike was here and at the 18th and Vine at the Blue Room. And it's, Bob on the bass.
I gotta go to the west side of town. That's the place to go when they got blown with the blues gas. It's off the road, everything's 52nd Street. Just follow the beat and you'll be popping to the top of all the jazzy beats. It doesn't get much minor when the changes from a major to the minor. I get my kicks, some chicks are at a table and now I tune the music. It's all the second blues with the beat. Oh, you go, baby. This is what we said, it's off the Parker. Everybody here on the scene knows that the bird had it. He's so good and then he glided. There is to be coming over the world. Nothing you can leave just so alive, never any jive. It happens so quick in the rides. Please for me, put my hand, put my hand, put my hand, put my hand.
Yeah, man. You sing that really well. Oh, Mike Milvoy, there he is.
Cool concentration.
Bob.
I got it. To the west side of town. That's the place to go. Big cloud road, really use gas. It's off the road, and here it leads to 2nd Street. Follow me in the office to the top of all the jazz. It doesn't get the swagger. Wait for the change of the pictures of the line. I get my fix. Some chicks are on the table, and I do the music. Found it on the street. Looking cool, baby. You said you're Charlie Parker. Everybody here on the scene. He said, we're nearly got it. Turning on the world. Nothing you can make jazz so alive. Never any time. It happens soon as you arrive. So please call me.
Wow, you guys play really well together.
Yeah, all the time in that little room at Mike's house, hanging out. I learned so much from him. Wow. Did you sing with him, with Mike Melvoin?
Yeah, way back, LA used to, there was a time, I think I was in my, it's probably in my early 20s or my 20s. And that time in LA was, it was very strong. It was kind of super like that gig that you did there. There was a lot of really good gigs that were jazzy and kind of professional and show, like you were dressed real nice, and it was all real, kind of almost like a good show, and and guys like Mike Melvoin were playing, like John Hammond was another guy, Tom Garvin,
Yeah.
Lou Matthews. Yeah.
Tom was such a wonderful pianist. Wow.
He was an amazing accompanist. But of course, Mike Melvoin was too. And that period of time it was definitely it feels now looking back like it was kind of the old days, because that kind of thing doesn't really happen here anymore in LA, It's
It all feels like
much
the
different
old days.
scene. Huh?
Everything feels like the old days now.
Well,
Because we had
yeah.
this massive punctuation of life, where everybody, where the entire world, stops for this pandemic. And so it's just such a big punctuation on life and on what's going to happen next, And I think that there's a lot of people making very interesting music. And what I'm seeing now is there's a lot of music coming out, a lot of new CDs and new projects coming out. And so I receive, downloads in the mail and new discs. Let me see here. Hold on. Pardon me. Just today, George Kahn, the pianist, George Kahn.
George Kahn, yeah, he's very
Brand new one
prolific.
from Ben Sidran. I'm a big
Oh,
Ben Sidran fan. He's from Milwaukee, as is Mike Melvoin.
Cool.
So they were longtime friends. And Adam Rudolph. Do you know Adam Rudolph, the percussionist?
no, I do not know him.
Flying, whatever that is, a flying thing. But he, Big Black. Did you know Big Black, or do you know him? The percussionist. Big
Yeah,
Black played with Lee Morgan as a conga player.
right.
And, he lived in Santa Monica, and
Right.
Adam Rudolph was a person that played with him. There's a little nightclub, a coffee shop nightclub in Santa Monica, and I hang out with Big Black. I still hear from him. He lives in the desert now.
Oh,
He's an interesting cat. And
Wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I heard that name.
yeah, my daughter when my daughter was born in '96, like we'd go to the market in Santa Monica a lot. We lived in the Palisades, and we'd drive down to the market, and Black was like he's tall, 6'6" or so,
Yeah.
and he would see her from across it. He'd go, Regina. And she'd go running, big black, go running across the market to see him, jump up in his arms, and then he'd just carry her around the rest of the time we're at the market, So he calls every now and then, and we yak about this and that,
That's
I
cool.
loved being in LA. It was a fun time in my life to be there, and Regina born there and all that. It's great.
A lot of great people here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we have a kind of an embarrassment of riches, actually. So it's really nice. Who knows what's
Seeing
going to
people,
come.
in the nightclubs, like I saw Chick Corea playing, and I saw
Yeah.
just tons and tons and tons of people that you wouldn't see in a nightclub really anywhere else in the world, but in Los Angeles, but trying things out. I saw Horace Silver at the post office several times and walk around Palisades with Horace, talking about stuff, it's just a town full of artists, city full of artists, huge town full of artists,
I've also been discovering some new people, and through this, I've been introduced to some really intriguing people. Like I'm gonna look at my list because I won't remember everybody, but I bet you know a lot of these people, like Bill Goodwin. Bill Goodwin, do you know Bill Goodwin?
For years.
And I've gotten back.
That's how I met Mike, was through Bill.
Oh, okay.
Because they played together on one of my favorite albums, which is Nighthawks at the Diner, the Tom Waits album in the 70s. So Jim Huart, Bill, and Pete Chrisley and Mike.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So when I went to LA to play and was thinking about moving there, Bill said, "Oh, call Mike," and so I did, and we started playing together now and again, and like that.
That's cool, man. There's so many interesting people out. That's the one thing I really do enjoy about this time period, is that I'm always being introduced to somebody new, not just me, personally, but actually, listening all over the world, right? Kuba Stankiewicz is in Poland. He's an incredible musician, and he's very well revered there. And he does these tributes to Polish jazz composers who,
wow,
there actually were a lot. I forget, some of our most famous material was from Polish jazz composers.
Really?
Yeah. And, people in New York who I've been friends with for various reasons, because I never really lived in New York. I've visited, but so there's a lot of people like the Ken Filiano and Andrea Wolper and Judy Silvano and Joe Lovano, lots of people over there, right, to hook up with. Somebody who's coming on, who Mike Lang introduced me to, is Mike Renzi. Are you familiar with him?
Right, sure.
Yeah, so
I have a new one from Mike Renzi that just came around. And Mike Lang, I've done a lot of gigging with him and hanging out with him, various reasons. He was a good friend of Mike Melvoin's.
Yeah, right. I'm a good friend of Mike Lang. Yeah, I love Mike. Are you familiar with Mark Jordan?
Nope. Not that I know of.
I want to introduce you to him. MARC, Mark Jordan. One of my friends introduced me to his music, and he's kind of like a Bonnie Raitt type of material. However, he's an incredible writer, but he really does sing with jazz phrasing. He's really a good singer. It's real satisfying to listen to. Plus, his songs are great. He's from Canada. He's been a very successful pop writer, although he did write for the Manhattan Transfer too. And his wife is a really good pop rock singer as well. But anyway, you should check him out. You would really like him.
Okay. I will.
And I highly suggest you listen to Paul Jost. I tried to get a hold of him, but he's probably working. But you would really like Paul Jost. I totally know you're going to love him. His singing and playing drums and writing and arranging and his whole personality and his vision, it's really cool. Do you have a favorite style of jazz, or do you just like all of it?
I started saying when I started doing radio that I never met jazz I didn't like. And so from that, I've expanded my listening to include just about everything. I mean, I'm being run out of my house by CDs. So one of my current goals is to do more, downloads, to have more online stuff. There's a big drive here, and then there's 500 here, 200 or 300 over there. There's a box full of CDs down here, and then this wall of stuff, and then there's there's a barn outside with a bunch more things. So I've just stopped keeping things on CD, and I took my projects or products out of print a few years ago by choice, and then I just have those 4 that are on Bandcamp right now. So I'm going to start putting them back out again, in a different way. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but
you and I are so much alike in various ways. As a matter of fact, so see all this pile of CDs here. I have been downloading my whole CD collection onto an external hard drive.
Good.
And it's interesting. My husband collects records.
Yeah.
And he's always mentioned that people will either be willing to give up their records or not. They are not willing to give up the physical record because they're attached to it somehow. And that's exactly how I feel about these these CDs. It's like, and I'm okay with that. It's kind of like clearing out your closet. It's like whatever I can throw away, it's like, okay, I'm not that connected to this person or this product, so I can throw it away or whatever. And but then there's others that I go, yeah, I'm not ready to give this away or throw it away yet.
Well, there's something about the art,
Yeah.
And you, like what I do is like I put some art someplace. Like this one just came in. You see that?
Could you hold it up a little? Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So this is a 1979 session with Chet Baker, Wolfgang Lackerschmidt. And I just came in, but because of the cover, because of the look of the cover, it's just been sitting right here on this place of honor. So I'll see it. Now, say, there was one recently where I kept the CD so long right there, but I never listened to it. Oh, it's like a cover that looks like a woodcut. It's like old-timey type that you use for a newspaper back when they were wood blocks, and they carved them specifically for each letter and all that. And then they made tin type and that sort of thing. But it's like this. So I saw this thing, and I don't know if the guy's name was Wood or his first name was Woody. I don't know. I don't even know. But I didn't play it for like 3 years. It sat on my desk for 3 years before I played it. And then recently I played it, and I was like, this is a CD that's been on my desk for 3 years because the cover is so cool. I might not ever play it again, but I played one song off of it, So like when I play something, then I mark inside with a little, you see that? Little Post-it notes. Uh-huh. This one, I played a lot. Diego Figueiredo. You hip to Diego Figueiredo?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. So he doesn't have any CDs that aren't the best of. He's got like 3 best of albums.
Oh,
But where did they come from? It's kind of like Sly Stone, the very best of Sly Stone.
yeah.
What album did it come from? I don't know. I know the best of, though. And that's like, that's kind of an interesting concept, like
Yeah.
just make records that are the best of Cathy Segal-Garcia. Volume 1.
By the way, Lauren Pickford said hi.
Oh, Lauren Pickford down in New Orleans.
Yeah, we just had a long conversation 2 days ago.
You did?
Yeah.
What a great musician. Oh my gosh.
Great artist. He's just,
Yeah.
I want him to be on the show. He was kind of going, well, I don't know if I have anything to
Oh.
say. And I was like, really? You,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Lauren
gosh,
Pickford ought to be on your show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got so much to say. Such
Yeah.
a beautiful human being.
He's a beautiful guy.
Yeah.
I'm having Bob Moses on my show soon.
Nice.
And he sent me a whole bunch of CDs, which was really very, very nice of him because he's been one of my heroes since college. And he told me about oh gosh, I never know how to pronounce this guy's name. Tiji Munoz. Tiziji Munoz. Are you familiar with him?
I'm not trying that one, Cathy.
I think it's Tisiji, something like that. Tiziji. Anyway, he's Bob's mentor, and he
Wow.
played with a lot of heavy jazz people. He's a percussionist and a guitarist, and talk about a really intriguing artist. He's really his music goes from kind of edgy jazz rock to empty, beautiful, simplistic. I mean, everything. Apparently, he also is very spiritually inclined. His mother was a big spiritualist, and he's still around. And it's really interesting. I'll have to send you the correct spelling of his name, but you can see him on YouTube, and it's pretty fascinating.
Send me everything. I want to know
Okay.
everybody. I want their music, and I want to learn about it. I mean, there's nobody in jazz I don't want to hear about, or blues, or really in any music. If it any way fits in, if I can, I call it like making a case for it on my radio shows. One thing leads to another,
Yeah.
So if you play one by one person and then it reminds you of some other music, then you add that and you go into the next and the next. And what Nan Hill and I used to talk about in these letters was like, one, making a case for it, and then 2, like making the music like the movements of a symphony, so that like the keys work from song to song, the tempos work from song to song, the instrument changes, maybe the drums that start one tune come up underneath the trailing off of a saxophone in another one. Like there's a Paul Simon tune called, what is it called? A lovely song from his, the most recent album of his, where it's a lot of jazz people. And I put that in 2 different like Dave Liebman tunes. So like Dave Liebman's doing this wild soprano saxophone solo, and then it goes into this Paul Simon tune, and it comes out into like a 9 or 10 minute piece off of his Explorations Earth album. And it's just like really just going out in the outer space with the music, And so that way, then playing Paul Simon on a jazz radio show doesn't seem like not appropriate. It's appropriate that way because you're making like a little Paul Simon sandwich.
It's beautiful. You're producing. That really is being a producer, right? Like
I just, I love it. It's such a fun thing for me to do. And it's something I can do from right here in this. This is the mud room of my house. This is off of my kitchen. I'm 10 feet from my stove. So I can make lunch and then I can make radio in the same time sometimes. Like this is Lauren will understand this. Like I think that Mike Melvoin and Lauren and I played together. I think when Lauren was here in Kansas City, I'm not sure, but Mike and I had occasion to go to New Orleans and play an event, and so we were playing this great restaurant in the French Quarter. And when we got to New Orleans, Mike said, "We have to play this game while we're here because the food's so good." And so I said, "Well, what's the game?" And he says, "We're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and supper. So each day after we get done hearing great music or playing great music, then we're going to go have supper somewhere." We played at Brennan's. That's where we played, Brennan's in New Orleans. And so I gained 10 pounds, like in New Orleans, in a week. Like, we ate 2 dinners every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and supper. It was great. Great fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you there's a really amazing performance of Kurt Elling doing America by Paul Simon.
Oh, yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gorgeous.
Kurt is such a wonderful singer.
He really is.
Great cat.
Yeah.
And beautiful singer.
Yeah. I've been listening more to him nowadays, and also Cecile McLaurin-Salvant.
Yeah.
I find as the years go on, I'm just drawn to her more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her album is Sullivan Fortner. That's a great album.
Oh, and in the beginning of COVID, they did like a 2-hour, at least one. I don't know if they did any more. They did 1 2-hour, Zoom session.
Her and Sullivan?
Yeah, and they were in the same room, and they were just going from song to song. It was like what do you want to do now? And it was all over the map as far as styles went. And they were just incredible, really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an amazing pianist. He did a residency here for the Charlie Parker celebration 2 years ago or 3. And I had the great honor of singing with him and playing with him in some settings. We did a big concert that was really fun.
Nice.
And,
yeah, he's really special, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's how I got to that Paul Simon record. Was Sullivan's on that Paul Simon record? Oh, and it's
I don't know this record. This is a new.
It's it's good. I know where it's at. It's on my dining room table, but I'm not going to go get it right now. It's blue
because it's too far away.
It's blue. Yeah, it's blue. It's got but Wynton Marsalis is on it, and various folks. Bill Frisell's on it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go hear that.
It's like Paul Simon doing, like going back and doing songs that he wrote and performed before that has albums with those songs on it, and then so this is like him doing newer versions of it
with jazz players.
Him doing his music with jazz musicians. So the things with Sullivan are fantastic. I just think Sullivan is one of the. I'm totally a big fan of Sullivan Fortner.
Yeah.
Amazing musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a video I came across. It's actually a little older, but I came across it recently of Cecile hanging out, waiting in an airport at the gate. And it's in France, so of course they have a piano there. And America, they would never have like a piano at the waiting gate. Anyway, so I forget who the pianist was, but yeah, incredible younger guy. And they were obviously waiting to go somewhere, and a bunch of people waiting at the gate. And I think she did "Once there was a sentimental thing, threw my heart away each spring." I think that was that. And she was sitting down on the floor with her knees up, I think, and just, kind of in the most way that you might not, sing and be
Right.
heard.
Right.
And she sang the crap out of it, and he played the crap out of it, and everybody was kind of, you could see everybody was just like kind of like listening. And then at the end, they, of course, everybody applauded them wildly. But even just regarding technique, you really appreciate what her instrument is, and that she uses it so beautifully,
Right. Yeah, it's like that kind of thing is sort of like those old movies where, somebody starts singing around the piano and then it becomes a giant dance routine and the whole town singing the song with every, becomes this big deal. And I have hope that's what's going to happen with life, that we've been so sequestered and so art free for this period of time that once we come out of it, like the big pandemic of 1918 turned into the Roaring '20s, which turned into the low budget '30s, but wow, the music in the '30s and the movies and all the stuff that happened over the period between the pandemic and the Second World War. Such innovation and such wonderful musical changes in music, and they went with the innovation. So I just have the hope that that's what will happen this time. That we'll have, really this time, I just feel like it's an age of civility, that people are going to, hold the door for you and say, "Oh, pardon me, you go first," that kind of thing, So you won't have this sort of pushy sort of everybody for themselves. Don't talk to people in line at the airport waiting for a plane for 5 hours, but, just happen to have a piano there and just start singing. Why not? Could happen.
It could happen.
Yeah, but I'm an optimist, so,
Me too.
Yeah. When are you singing again?
Well, I'm definitely singing the last Sunday of the month.
The last Sunday of the month. And where is that?
Yeah, it's at in Playa Vista at a place called the Conference Room.
Ooh.
Really nice owner, like kind of a throwback to the old days. He actually pays the musicians, and he
really
feeds the musicians.
That's a good
really
idea.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it's in a kind of an interesting area. It's where the Marina Freeway, the 90 and the 405 cross,
Right.
like Loyola, near there. And the actual complex, I guess, where the restaurant is it's inside this group of tall buildings, and I still don't understand if they're apartment buildings or office buildings. It's got just an unusual little, kind of complex. And yeah, I forget. He also has. I was looking for the card.
So did you say it's an outdoor gig? You play outside?
It's an outdoor gig. It's on the patio, which is really, really nice. And so yeah, parking is easy.
Conference room with a patio attached to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's really nice. Really good, a good hang. And
well, maybe you'll still be there when I get to LA.
Yeah.
I changed, like, after, I saw you in January in New York at the Steinway store. So that's how, after 20 years, I was like, oh, there's Cathy.
Doesn't that seem like so long ago?
It seems like forever ago.
Yeah.
But I started changing my password to LA 2020 after we had that meeting, after my trip to New York, because I was thinking, man, I want to go to Los Angeles and I want to go play a gig. And Winkler and I have been talking about, doing a gig or whatever. And then Tamir and I have been talking about this and that, so it's like, so who knows? Might not be 2020 though. Might be 2021, 2022.
It could happen.
But
Well, it will happen eventually.
It will happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
My friend from Japan feels like I should be coming there in the spring. I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not, because the spring is not all that far away.
Right.
But I mean, I was supposed to go there in March for 3 weeks, but but yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's happening, and now with the new president, and we'll see how it changes. I'm curious to know how. I'm curious to know the happenings, the actions, and the results.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not the only curious person.
I'm sure you're not. I'm curious too.
We're actually coming close to the two-hour mark, and which is amazing. It's been a great conversation.
It's just an honor to be with you. Such an honor to be
here
in your little room and in my little room.
Hey, I have a silly question. My husband, like I said, has a lot of records.
Yeah.
And he arranges them alphabetically. Yeah. And I have a lot of hundreds and hundreds of CDs. And before I acquired a lot more from my friend Dan Davila, thank you, Dan. Oh. Every time he sees me, he brings me CDs. But what I did was I grouped them into categories first, like singers, and then I would alphabetically do it.
Oh yeah.
But do you do alphabetically? I would imagine so.
Yeah. Alphabetically by last name of the artist. Name. Yeah. So A, Z's over on another rack over there for these. And then there's always just a bunch of them that, like refiling is always a problem. There's a lot around here that are not filed right now.
Refiling is a problem. Why?
What's that? It's a problem when you don't put them in alphabetical order.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they're in alphabetical, that's what I'm having. I want to get into downloads, as I've said like 5 times in the past 2 hours. I'm really looking for a good way to categorize. And there's with Jazz Week magazine or jazzweek.com, where our jazz charts are, there's a jazz programmers list. And there was recently a long post about how we've got to get the metadata together. So like when I put in a CD and they haven't done the metadata, it makes it really difficult because you just have numbers of tracks. You don't have any information about the songs or whatever. Or some people put in the artist, all the people who played on the song, and then the title of the song. Well, that's a problem too, because you can't see it in the player. You can't see what the name of the song is, and you don't know what it is, So there needs to be like a unified metadata, because the metadata is what makes the downloads really work, So this was somebody talking about how they could, normalize the metadata for jazz records.
Now, isn't adding the metadata, isn't that the mastering responsibility, the mastering plant?
Sometimes, but not particularly.
Oh.
Many times, even labels these days leave it up to the artist. So I'll get some things from some labels, and there won't be any metadata. Certain record labels, I won't mention any names, could totally ignore it completely. They don't. Now,
I don't know how to add metadata.
Well, you'd probably just Google it.
You don't know either.
Yeah, I add my own version of it, and I've done it. Let's see, for my recordings, we had a standardized way it was done, but somebody else did it back then.
Yeah.
So I sort of put that on hold, that part of my life on hold, when I got into this particular section of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing this what's called Jazz with David Basse for 6 years now.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about it 10 years ago, and it was mostly like in the 90s, I listened to Chuck Niles,
Yeah.
and I listened to Chuck Niles like I listen to Marketplace now, like on the radio. That's my show is Marketplace. So 6:30 p.m. I have my little routine. So like I stopped drinking, but before dinner I like to have a little nosh, and I like to have a little drink of something. So I have a little, like a soda and apple juice and a lemon, and I make a little nosh, and then I sit down and listen to Marketplace. And back when I lived in LA, I would listen to Chuck Niles in the afternoon. When I first moved to LA, the first gig I had, Chuck Niles came, and he was sitting at the bar, and he said, "Okay, Kansas City, yeah, good. I'll be around," And I was like, a stamp of approval. Boom. Welcome to LA. Thank you very much. So I really liked his presentation, and I liked the goofy kind of things that he would say about stuff, and the offhanded comments that he would make when he was doing his programming. And then I went to Bob Parlocha, and out here, Bob Parlocha was like syndicated.
Yeah.
So now the lady who syndicated him at WFMT, I work with her through PRX now, and so that's like when he was on Kansas Public Radio, it's like, okay, I can do this. And Nan Hill, who write me letters, she said, you can do that. You can do it better because Bob doesn't ever answer my mail. And you'll answer my mail, and that would be good, because then I could request songs. I'm like, okay, good. But so now I'm doing that. I'm doing that kind of Bob Parlocha. It's kind of patterned after Bob Parlocha.
Yeah,
And
he was
Niles
really
on
great.
delivery,
And Chuck was really great too. Yeah. So I want to know if somebody wants to subscribe to you, or what's if there was somebody who was a fan of yours, what should they do? What should they, instead of like every now and then tapping into you, is there like kind of what you just described, sitting down at a particular time and tuning into a particular place?
I say on air, I mention my website, David, BASSE.com. And so there's an Ask Dave button there.
Yeah.
And there's also a link to everything that I do at that site. And it's becoming better and better. So we'll start adding albums, and we'll start doing things. So Deep Into Jazz is a concept that we came up with where we do, jazz podcasting, jazz blogging, and just everything jazz. Plus my radio show is on Deep Into Jazz in a 15-hour format without commercials, and it's there each week. So each week you get 15 hours. The next week you get a whole new 15 hours. The next week you get another. So you get 16 hours of jazz every week. And so, every month, 16 hours or 60 hours a month, Does that make sense? It all makes sense. So
yeah, so you could turn it on during the day and go in and out and do your business and stuff, have you playing and for like 3 hours every day or something, right? And and that would be like fresh every week.
I'm pretty much on 24 hours a day. Like if you go to my website, it says find your station. So there's 50 some stations now. I start at 5 a.m. in Clearwater, St. Pete, Florida, 5 to 8 a.m. And then there's another station I'm on at 10 a.m. And then there's it goes that way all through the day, every day. So
Dave,
yeah,
you're such a star. You're a star, man.
When when I went back, so I went back to college, in like 2010. I went to college. I missed all that because, as I told you, when I was 14, I started playing professionally. So I made it through high school and graduated when I was 17, but I didn't care about anything but the drums. Nothing but the drums. That was it. at that time. So 10 years ago, I went to college, and people would say, "What are you teaching?" I said, "I'm not teaching. I'm a student." "No, you don't need to be a student. You should teach." And I'm like, "No." "So what do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be the Rush Limbaugh of jazz." And then it would totally, like, sometimes it would just end the conversation. Oh, disgusted, sometimes. And other times it would be like the Rush Limbaugh of jazz. And the thing was, at the time, he was making $65 million a year.
Oh my God.
Like $1.3 million a week. And doing the same thing that actually I'm doing now, doing 15 hours of radio a week, make $1.3 million a week. So I still want to be like the Rush Limbaugh of jazz. I still want to keep doing that. I like doing this. It's fun. It's fun doing radio for me is fun. And it's art that I can do without a band, I mean, not that I don't like musicians, but I like being in a band, and I like playing on stage, and I like playing with musicians. But when you do that, it's harder to create the art by yourself, and so with this, I'm creating the art by myself right here in my little spot. And so I just do it, make myself laugh, make myself cry, listen to songs and start crying, and then I play it again. Then I get worn out and I have to go take a nap, and then I come back. And, it's like, does this show ever end, or am I in a constant loop? It's like I'll be here forever and ever.
Well, actually, this is the big ending. So you're actually ending the show by saying all of it. I mean, I don't like to interrupt a lot, so. But I'm going to say thank you so much for being on. It was great to catch up with you anyway, but it was great to also have you on, in front of people.
I'm so honored to be with you, Cathy.
Oh, thank you, David. I'm honored to have you on. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And I'll just tell my audience and you, if you want to know, tomorrow I'm having a really interesting man on named Larry Livingston. He was the dean over at UCLA, dean of music, I think. And he is a very well-known worldwide composer, arranger, conductor, mostly of classical music. But the thing is, he's really into improvisation. And I met him through Stephen Nachmanovich, the guy who wrote Free Play. Are you familiar with that book? Yeah, Stephen Nachmanovich wrote, it's kind of like Effortless Mastery, but it's called Free Play, Improvisation in Life and the Arts. And he wrote it about 30 years ago. Uh-huh. And recently he came out with his second book called, it's funny because that book was such a Bible to me that I keep forgetting the name of the new book. It's Life, oh gosh, I just can't remember. But anyway, it's a shorter name. But and it's so embarrassing because I speak to him a lot and I just always forget the name of the book. But anyway, he introduced me to Larry. And Larry he's one of those guys, he's a lot older now, and his interest never goes away. He's just totally interested, totally active, Yeah. He's just rich with experiences and just speaks really well and beautifully. And, he's a really cool guy. So he's on tomorrow with me. And just quickly, I'll tell you, next week I have an incredible background singer, Lamont Van Hook, who everybody's heard, but maybe they don't know his name. And he's actually coming out with his first record. But he has, being a singer, you would just love it. His voice has got that real mix of organic, yet the core has this intonation that is so true. It just goes straight into you, really beautiful. And then, are you familiar with Clarissa Saad?
Oh.
Okay, now she's a person I discovered. First of all, her father and uncle were the Assad brothers, Brazilian and guitar players, and they were known all over the world. They're incredible. And so she was brought up in that kind of, you know, surrounding. She's a composer and arranger, and she sings too. She lives in Chicago. She's probably in her 50s, and amazing. So she's going to be on next week. And then Pierre Chambers, who's a singer, and he's the son of Paul Chambers. So he's going to be on.
Oh,
So that's next week. So it's really fun. Having a
Yeah.
good time. You and I are both having a good time.
yeah. Not leaving home. Having fun right at home.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. And listen, have a great day. Thanks for the 2 hours. I mean, that's a lot to take out of your day.
Thank you. Anytime. It's great talking with you. Really great
Thank you.
talking with you.
Thank
I
you.
wish you all
too.
the success in
Me
everything
too
you
to
do.
you. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.